Hi, welcome to Pictures, Noise and Words. I'm Hedgy.
And I'm Paz.
And this is Plague and the Decay. And I just happen to have someone from Plague and the Decay in the studio with me.
That's funny, isn't it? That's convenient. Where are they?
So if you could leave, I need your seat. No, Plague and the Decay is Paz's project.
Project, yeah.
Probably a better word, isn't it? And I've known Paz for a very long time. This is year 30.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My apologies. So yeah, 30 years. So I struggled when I was thinking about what I was going to ask you, because I kind of know too much. So I was struggling with what's relevant. So Paz has no idea what I'm about to say next. We haven't practiced this, by the way. I haven't told him what I'm going to ask him or anything like that. You've no concept of what's going on really now.
No. I just think about what to get at Morrison's on my way home.
Good to see he's locked in. Yeah. So I struggled thinking, would I ask the right questions because I know you too well? So I asked someone else for the questions.
Really? All right.
Someone who plays your album quite a lot.
Do they?
Yeah, there is somebody.
Madness. It comes with a public health warning.
So, your questions come courtesy of Charles Murphy.
Oh, cool.
We don't know Charles. Charles lives in
I
America.
love him already.
And it's suddenly busy mates. So Charles lives in the US. We don't know Charles, but he comments on the channel quite a lot, and I just said, what should I ask? Because I knew he quite liked your stuff. Turns out he's been listening to it a lot. Right. So I hope you remember it. You remember the album you made.
Does it go the first album as well?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Let's go with yes. So Charles sent me a load of questions.
Rocky.
So this could go on a bit. So the thing is, where to start? So do you want to? We're going to play at the end of this interview. I'm going to play a video and a song of Paz's new album, but I'm not going to critique it because that would be madness.
Can I? It's the greatest song ever.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Paz is going to come in on that one. But so we're going to play that at the end. So do you want to say? You say you give it the plug. Now, what's it called?
What, the song?
No, the album.
Oh, the album. The album is Children of the Myth.
It looks like this.
Yeah, that's the album. Available on the Bandcamp,
which there'll be a link to underneath this video. Okay. This is a song that the song we're going to play is Deus Ex Machina, by the way. Okay, so Plague and the Decay. Where to go? It's going to be the usual kind of musician questions, the kind of things that Devin gets asked, I guess, all the time. So he's put here, the guitar sound is fantastic. Whose is it? No, he's put the guitar sound is fantastic. What's your sound setup? What guitars do you use? Do you use the same guitar for most songs? That kind of thing.
Funnily enough, well, let's start. The guitar sound I use is from Guitar Rig 4. It's quite an old bit of software, and I'm demoing a software called THU, which is a new guitar plug-in thing. Back in the day, when I used to do 4-track recordings and tapes, it all used to be either mic'd up amps or lining. You get a cable and you shove it into the and use amp sims on a guitar effects board. But then I started using plugins. I got Guitar Rig 3, wasn't really happy with that, and then Guitar Rig 4, I got that and just clicked on this sound. I thought, well, that's quite good, and this kept on developing, because trying to find a new guitar tone is so difficult, because you can be sat there for 3 hours, and then you listen to all the ones that you've tried, all the different guitar tones you've tried, and you think, oh, when you go listen to them back retrospectively, they're not as good as the one you first started out with. So it's a arduous process trying to come up with a new guitar tone. So when I hit on this one with Guitar Rig 4, I haven't changed it for quite a while, which is why I've used the same guitar tone for the last few projects that I've done.
Right.
And now it's reached to a point after I did this album, I thought, I think it's time for a bit of a change, because the next projects I'm doing, I just want to just change a little bit of the sounds. Otherwise, you're getting into the Disturbed territory where they've got, is it 6 albums, and the production is sort of interchangeable, that you can put something on any album and it suddenly won't sound out of place. And I thought, so all the great bands that we listened to sort of had a evolution of sound. It doesn't take much, just to tweak it, etc., etc. So that's why I'm looking into.
Well, he's saying Days Without Number, the song of this album, it's like very intense and varied. So he's saying what was used to get all the different sounds. So.
All right. Okay. Just go back to the first question. It might lead into that one. Is he asked about what guitars I use. I have 6 or 7, and they're all at different tunings. And so sometimes some songs can't be played on the same guitar, so I have to swap the guitars over. So that's why I might get a little bit of a different tone. So
live, you have that roadie who keeps running on and giving you a different guitar.
Yeah. Live. But from a guitar point of view, I always I started off using Ibanez's because I'm a big John Petrucci fan. And my I think it's an Ibanez RG505, I think, is the one I tend to go to the most. Then I got a couple of Jackson guitars, which were okay, but I started getting into Dean stuff because of Dave Mustaine, really.
Into what stuff?
Dean guitar, DEAN.
Right,
Can't really get them over here, very difficult to get hold of. And then I treated myself to an Angel of Death guitar, Flying V, that Dave Mustaine uses. Amazing piece of kit, that. And then I bought a 7-string.
As long as you're sitting down.
Yeah, sit down. You still have to jam it right into your calf muscles. You can only play it for so long. You have to jam it in. And then I got a Dean 7-string and a Dean 8-string as well. So I do like the Deans. Deans and Ibanez's.
I'd never heard of Dean, but then I've heard of like 3 guitar makes. But
yeah, if the song's in a different, say it's a different key, use a different guitar, that's not right at all. But if I want a different sound, then one's a 8-string, which is F sharp, low F sharp, and then the 7 strings is low B, and then my Angel of Death is in E, and then I have pseudo A tuning on a 6-string and a pseudo B tuning on one Ibanez. And I've lost you, haven't I? You've glazed over.
I hope this means something to whoever's watching this. It's me play drum. Right.
But the different tones and days outnumber. I was just thinking of the clean sound as well.
No.
I don't know.
That's all I've got, I'm afraid. So that was all one question, by the way.
Okay.
So he's got the intro to Macabre is awesome. Was it as fun to record as it sounds? Is recording ever fun? As it would probably be my.
I get a lot out of it. It's hard work though to get it right. Do you want me to go into my huge recording anecdote? It's not really an anecdote.
We've got
funny enough.
People who watch this, they can skip through it if you're getting boring, or they can switch it off, or they can watch all 14 hours of it. So it's fine.
The start of Macabre I wrote 26 years ago. I'm still using it now. I thought because it's quite an old song that, and we used to play, didn't we?
Yeah, but I'm not letting on that I know I know anything.
Okay. And it's always been one of my favourites because it's short and punchy and stuff. But I thought it could do with a bit of an update.
Yeah, when we used to play together in the early 90s, we were playing that song.
Yeah, it was always the opener. It's always difficult to play. That start, it's all hammering on, tapping off type thing. You know, when you see Angus Young doing Thunderstruck, when he's doing that, it's the same thing. Just not all on one string, but just one-handed stuff. And he came with this riff, and I thought, that's quite cool. That, and then you just kick it in at 100 miles an hour. And the version that's on this album, I increased the length of the middle break with for a harmony solo, which I didn't have before, and it's actually 10 beats per minute faster than we used to play it, so it just needs a bit more.
And we used to play it like...
It used to be fast when we used to play, but as I say, on this one I made it a little bit faster, which made the opening riff a lot more difficult to play, and it was quite quite difficult. It took a lot of practice, because I used to play it at a certain speed, and then you still have to do it a bit quicker.
Right, yeah.
It took a bit
You feel like you're rushing.
Yeah, a bit more practice, but to get the specific take, it did take quite a while.
So he's saying, with Children of the Myths and Children of the Deity, was there an overall theme?
No.
Because you have had themes in your albums before.
Yes.
But this one, no.
Not necessarily. The reason why I called it very similar things is because I came up with Children of the Myths first, and Children of the Deity came up with a riff. Thought, that's really good, I really like that, but it sounds quite similar, so I just called them, I sort of kind of linked them, and it's just about people who are sucked in by religion and stuff like that, but there's no story there at all. They're just linked by a common theme and common chord sequences as well.
Okay, I'm just going to make a note here, because he's I did read this before I did this, but I've just realised he's jammed a couple of different questions into the same paragraph. So, it's basically, he says, what are the sound effects at the beginning of Poison of Suspicion? It sounds like rumbling skies, splashing water, and a woman screaming.
Yes, it's the actual sound effect unit. Sound effects is from a CD called Horror Sound Effects, and it is official title is Bodies Being Dumped into a River.
On the CD?
On the CD, yeah.
Nice.
And I thought, you know what, it just needed.
It doesn't get any more metal than that.
I just thought it needed a bit of a break from the barrage, from the sort of intensity of Days Without Number. They just needed 30 seconds of something else before we all kicked into another blaster, and I quite like that.
So he says that Poison of Suspicion, it's got a nice doom flavour, and it leads to the doom metal, the steps to ruination nicely. He's saying, do you consciously think about the mix of styles?
Yes, constantly. What I've always been wary of is album balance, and I think all the great albums have a good balance of mix of light and darkness and stuff like that. If you get an album that sounds exactly the same for 40 minutes, chances are you're going to get a little bit fed up with it fairly quickly. It's alright for a little bit, but if you've got nothing to counterbalance all the...
Sport for Dragon Force.
Well, I suppose so. But
I'm just joking. It doesn't really work for Dragon Force, which is why I brought it up.
But if you get your favourite albums out, the chances are there's going to be some slow ones, some faster ones, some bits with quiet bits in, some heavy, some doom bits. So I as long as it all sounds credible as a whole, and this is where I always go back to Overkill's Year of Decay, is it's still all Overkill, but there's so much up and different ideas put into that album that it all still sounds credible.
Quite brave of Overkill, actually, because Overkill were this before the Years of Decay. Years of Decay was 1989, I think.
Yeah.
Year we met. You got this thrash band, and suddenly they're doing songs like Skull Crusher, which is like slow and heavy, but like you say, it still works because the album takes you all over the place,
Yeah.
but not in a fragmented kind of way.
Yeah.
You know, you don't feel like they've just got 20 ideas and shoved them all on. It all makes sense, doesn't it? And I guess it doesn't happen by accident.
It has to be
the
very
point
well
of this,
put
isn't
together. I mean, it's not my favourite Overkill album, I must admit. That'd be Horoscope. But from a creative standpoint and how an album balance, I think it's a great template for any person who's writing an album. Just think, yeah, it doesn't have to all sound the same. You got to have your changes and your ups and your downs. And going back to what you said about it's still got to all make sense. The second Baby Metal album has that ballad towards the end, and for me it was just too much of a change. So if they just heavied it up a little bit, I probably would have got a lot more out of that ballad. No rain, no rainbow, whatever it is.
Yep.
It was too much of a jarring change. But if you can get the balance right, then again, it's balance, isn't it?
Yeah, I get it. Do you get it? Yeah, they get it. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about playing live?
I loved it. Don't tend to do it live anymore. Trying to get 4 or 5 people in the room at the same time at our age is very difficult.
Just for rehearsals.
It's so difficult.
I mean, everyone's willing to turn up on the night for the gig because that's the exciting bit.
Yeah,
it's the weeks before that of in a scout hut
Yeah.
or something.
It's hard work, and if you're not all on the same page, as it were, to use that cliche, it's
motivationally as well.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
I say when you get a little bit older, everyone's got different responsibilities. I love to play live.
Plus, I'd make an observation now. I don't know whether you would agree with me, so let's find out. We are of a certain age, so I'm 52, 53 this year. You're much younger than that by about 3 years. So, you know, and I think this is, I'm just guessing here, but you've done so many albums, 30 something albums, and, you know, tons of recording and tons of writing and all of this stuff that I think it's the Devin Townsend effect, which is not terrible to be compared to Devin Townsend, is it? Where I imagine Devin Townsend, if you get into the studio with him, is in control because he has his vision and he's done it for a long time, and this is mine, and this is how it's going to work. And I imagine that you would be a little bit like that now.
Totally.
So
Absolutely.
If you go into a rehearsal room, people not that they're not allowed to have ideas, but you'd have less patience or less. Yeah, let's go with patience. Because you'd be like, no, I know what I want, and this is it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I would struggle in a band if it was a proper band. If it was me and some session musicians, that would be fine. But me in a proper band, I probably wouldn't get my own way enough for the time, and the whole thing would collapse.
Which is a bad news quote.
It is.
I spotted that one.
Always stuck with me that.
Basically, I just wasn't getting my own way enough at the time. Yeah. And I can understand that. And speaking of which,
can I just?
Okay, I'll shut up.
I did think about playing live again a couple of years ago, just to join a band, because I do like playing live. Just to didn't no matter what it was. It just it could have been. Didn't want to join a covers band. Not a big fan of that. So I thought, let's just see if we can join a band and play live, because I really enjoy it.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. And so I jumped on a couple of band webs, join our band type websites. There's one called Band Mix, and there was one on there. It said it was we're looking for a guitar player. Oh, you can do backing vocals. Oh, I can do that. We're really anything will have to have our own transport. Yeah, tick that box. Have to have been playing for so many years. Yeah. Have so much experience. Yeah. Says we're really open about age. Any age between 18 and 42, and they thought they were being really inclusive. And I thought, I'll tick every other box apart from that one. And at that point, I thought,
how did they come up with 42?
I don't know.
Because it's the meaning of life.
But 43 was obviously too old for them.
Yeah,
and I just thought, you know what, that might be, unless I'm going to...
I'm 41, well, you can be in the band for a year.
Unless I'm going to put it together myself, I think my playing live days might be over.
So speaking of which, not the playing live days, but session musicians, Plague and the Decay is your project. So the other people who play on it, they're basically session musicians, aren't they?
Yes.
How did you find them? I don't mean what did you think of them. I mean how did you find them? Literally, how did you find them?
How did I find them? Well, I had the songs for the first one, and kind of recorded it all myself. I thought, and then at that point, the first Plague and Decay album, and I still think this way, that it's some of the best stuff I've come up with, and I, on my own, wasn't doing it. I didn't think was doing some of the songs justice. So I thought, I wonder if I could find someone else to do it for, because in the past when I've had people do voiceovers for some of my books and stuff, I thought, I wonder if there's had to do with get musicians the same way. And as I find out, there are a couple of websites, Sound Better, Gigs, Metal for Hire as well, where you can hire Born Strid.
Yeah.
And a couple of others that slipped my mind. And so I went to Air Gigs, and that's where I found singer Rafael Gazal. It still took a while though, because there's so many people on there. You have to try and find out what, because the first question is like, what do I want? And I had my idea, something sort of bit of a grit, but miles better than me. And finding that sort of heavy metal grit vocalist, it was quite difficult, and it took many weeks of going on there, keep looking and keep looking in this Raphael's demos. Thought, you know what, I think that could work. It was just a couple of notes that he hit. I think he was doing a Malmsteen cover on his demos. I thought, and he hit a sort of high note with a natural vibrato, and I thought, yeah, I think that could work. So I just sent him a message and fancied that.
Charles says that he thinks that Raphael's got a Dave Mustaine sound sometimes.
Possibly. I did ask him, said, yeah, do you add a bit of extra grit to your voice? He said, for the heavy stuff, yeah, which is probably where that comes through. Because
he does also say, do you direct the vocal style of...
I tend to I give Rafa some directions. I say, I would like it, can you do this, can you go higher here, because if for a high note I can't get that high through my limited 1 octave range, so I can just go high. And because he's so good, has such a great understanding of his craft, he can just do it, and because he understands metal as well, he knows how to go when to go high and what to do. And
that's probably quite a thing actually, where you might have a singer that's a very good singer, but they don't understand the genre that you're trying to get them to sing in.
We'll get onto that in a sec.
Oh, okay.
But the thing about Rafa, I sent him the opening track, which is Omicron, on this, and the timing is quite difficult for the vocals, which I didn't get exactly right when I sent him the demo. I said, can you do this? But he understood the timing of what I was trying to get, and he sent it me back. I think it was first take, just got it. He says, I understood what he's doing. It's obviously he does his homework and practices, and I got it back, and the time was perfect on it. And I did apologise to him. I said, sorry, the timing was out on that, and he said, yeah, no, so I fixed it. And but that's why you hire a session musician. He can do it. He understands. That's what you pay your money for, really. But the projects I'm doing at the moment, I'm working with a singer who's not genre specific, so I have to give them lots of directions about what I want, and give them examples of saying, can you do it like this, or can you listen to how the vocal delivery on this one is really harsh, or it's they go up and down and really belt out these certain notes. Can you give me something like that? but for Rafi, because he is a metal singer, I didn't have to do any of that.
Okay then. So what I'll do is I'll play the song, and then we'll carry on with more
Okay.
questions. I just thought it might help to break things up a little bit. So this is Deus Ex Machina. It's off the new Plague and the Decay album, which looks very much like that one. And here we go. This is the lyric video, which I will not be critiquing, but you know, you can if you want. Anything you want to say?
No fade out.
No fade out. Yes. Yeah. I can hear Overkill in there, and I can hear Megadeth in there.
Can you?
Only, not all the time. You're like, oh, this bit got a little bit of the Overkills. Anyway, so Paz is also an author. He's written several books. Written quite a lot of books, actually. You can buy them too. You can get them on Amazon. But Charles was saying, because you're a writer, I think I know the answer to this. I think I could probably answer this one for him. But because you're a writer, do you think that affects how you write your lyrics?
No.
You know what my answer would have been? My answer would have been, Paz does not like writing lyrics.
Funny enough, yeah, I hate it. I used to write. I got tons of lyric books from before I started learning the guitar, and then started learning guitar, and I just lost interest in writing lyrics. And it's funny that you think it'd be I would love doing lyrics, but I don't know.
The thing is, lyrics are much more like poetry than writing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Than writing a book. It's how do the words flow and recur and match and obviously rhyme and all of that. So I think it's much more like writing poetry, I would say, writing lyrics.
Yes, but I'm not a political person, and I don't write stuff about love and stuff like that. So I don't really got that much to say. So in regards to songs, so what I find more interesting is having themes and a bit like the Iron Maiden thing. I've got a couple of songs about. One's about what's it called? Witchfinder General film. Getting filmed and writing a song about a film. I find that easier. When we did the Castle Metal stuff, having an overarching story is easier to write something for rather than saying, "Oh, this song's about such and such."
Yeah. Though the problem there for me because I wrote the lyrics for that one was how to get the story into the lyrics without doing the Iron Maiden thing. Because Iron Maiden, as a go-to reference, some of their songs, the lyrics kind of go, and he went down the path, and he opened the gate, and then he went through the gate, and he closed the gate behind him, and he went down the road. It's too on the nose,
Yeah, it's too literal.
It's too literal, which is a much better way of saying it. But then you can go too far the other way, where it's so obscure that people have no idea what it is you mean, and it's how do you get the story in there so it makes sense without writing every detail. But I think that your aversion to writing lyrics shows up in your songs, in that, like that one, I'm not criticising, by the way. This is the end of the channel, folks. The end of the channel. No, in that you like to have nice long instrumental breaks because that's what you love.
Yeah.
I think so. You kind of not like, well, that's the lyrics out of the way, now I can do the fun stuff, but I can't imagine you writing a song where you've got a 30-second instrumental break in it or something, because that's where your love is, isn't it? It's in the music.
Yeah. I think this goes back to one of the last videos we did, where the singer, it was all about her for 3 minutes, and I said that was really good, but
that was the Infected Rain.
It's Infected Rain, and you should have had an instrumental break. It's because there's very few music genres that allow musicians to go and do their thing.
The Japanese play like you would, your ideal way, where they say, right, we'll have an instrumental break, let's put one at the beginning, 2/3 of the way through, and then we'll finish with 32 bars of guitaring at the end. It's just different styles, isn't it, at the end of the day?
If I might pay someone to write my lyrics next time.
I'll do it,
because I just don't. I don't get much out of it. I don't hate it per se because it's a necessary evil, but
Necessary evil.
if I could get away with
Just
not
do
writing
instrumental
lyrics,
albums.
it'd be great. But in the new one I'm working on at the moment, there's 3 songs that are linked. There's a story there. And I found those lyrics easier to write than one that isn't linked. It isn't linked to that.
Yeah.
Funny what you said about I've got this ballady song, so it'll be on the new one, and I've just had the vocals back from a new singer, and I've heard this song so many times with my version of the vocals and I hate it. Now I get it back from someone who's really good. I think this is amazing. So I'm also contemplating actually writing another verse or cutting down the instrumental break, which is about 2 minutes, to have more of this vocally. So I'm not decided yet what to do because the vocals are so good. We might end up changing the music around it. We'll see. I doubt it though, but we'll see.
So we've got a question about production. So he's saying, what is your production setup? Hang on, let me just get it all out. So what's your production setup? How did you take up producing and learning how it all works? He's put the production value on this album is super great clarity and balance and a good metal sound. How do so many professional full-time producers get it so wrong?
Oh right, that's very nice of you to say, because I spend hours.
And also, hang on, last bit.
Go on.
And I'll remind you all these, but how different is production now in the digital age versus when you started back when everything was black and white?
Oh, brilliant question. I never get to talk about this to anyone, so this is brilliant.
Just leave them to it now.
Can I have a drink?
No drinks for you. Just some my water. I haven't got any other in the studio, in space.
Oh, see, but I've always ever since I learned the guitar, I wasn't interested in doing covers or anything like that. I was more interested in writing my own stuff. So if you're going to write your own stuff, you want to record your own stuff. And fortunately, my brother had a drum machine, and my first ever production was my mum had this amp that she used to use for Keep Fit. It had a tape in it, a very early version of a karaoke machine, and you could record in it. So what I'd do, I'd play drums, set a beat going on the drum machine and play guitar at the same time, and this we recorded from the internal mic of this karaoke machine. So solely on the tape you've got one guitar and the drums, and then get that tape, put that into another machine, play that right next to the karaoke machine, do the same thing again but add a second guitar, which is all in mono, and that's where I started from.
You still got them?
I've still got those early demos. Yeah. Never throw anything away. And then I moved on to 4-track recording, and I sort of touched on this before. You're limited with the amount of tracks, but back in the day, if you listen back to my earlier demos, all the songs are a lot simpler and a lot shorter because it's all tape. You have to do it all live type of thing. I'd still put my drum track in, and then one guitar, but you'd have to play it all the way through, because if you got 3/4 of the way through and made a mistake, you'd have to start again. So that's where you learn your patience is back in the day with the tapes. It was just a 4-track recorder. I didn't really have that much in the way of effects. I had one reverb unit, and that was it. Sometimes I mic'd up the guitar, sometimes I just used a direct import to just give it too much of a fuzzy sound. And even when I got my first computer, my first bit of music software, which was an early version of Cakewalk, I still used it in the way I do the tapes. So I'd still put the drum tracks in and still do the whole thing live. And then I think it was Sonar 7, and then I moved on to Sonar 8, and I've not moved from Sonar 8 because it still found that sweet spot of of recording, and it has going to a digital setup, and it's just all on a PC. I don't really have a board. I had a little mixing desk, so everything I because I've got piano on this new one, on the new album, and guitar, they all go into this little mixing desk here, which then just gets fed into computer. And the good thing about going into digital is you record an idea, and then you can chop it up. And say if your idea is here, you can chop it in the middle. I think I don't like the second half of that, so you take that out and then put another one in. And if you've got an idea that's a bit further down in the song, then what if that will go there? You just get that out and just move it here and see how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I had that set up in 2007 or 8 when I started using it, because we did the Castle Metal stuff on there. It's fairly early days, but since about 2011 I've been doing that more, and the music I've written since then has had a lot more substance to it, a lot more ideas, like that one we just played there. There's a lot of ideas, I think, crammed into it. It's because you can put everything in and then just start chopping it up and put it in, trying different things. Oh, that sounds great, good, I'll put that over there. Whereas in the early days when it's tape, it was verse chorus 30-second solo and then end, because you just knew if you fudged it up 4 minutes down the line, you'd have to do the whole thing again.
Yeah. So the chance of getting a 12-minute song were pretty remote.
and I did. Doing long songs back in the day were such a labour of love, because you'd take you a week to do it, because you have to play it properly.
Yeah.
all the way through. But I don't have anything fancy really, so just listen, little mixing desk, and PC, and what effects I get with Sonar 8. However, I think this Children of the Myth is going to be the last one I'm going to do with that setup, because I've got myself a new computer now, and unfortunately Cakewalk went bust. That was still about 18 months ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But they were bought out by BandLab, and they're giving away the latest version of Cakewalk for free. Well, it was free 6 months ago, which I grabbed. So it's really powerful stuff, and I'm not sure how it compares with something like Cubase or anything like that. But if you fancy having a go at recording, then just sign up for BandLab Cakewalk. You find it, Google it, just install it, and it's the latest version of the Cakewalk with all plugins and effects and stuff like that.
Right.
And that came with a demo of this THU or TH3 guitar plugin, which I really like some of the tones on that. So I'll be moving on to that, just updating, because you can't keep using the same stuff all the time. But there's nothing other fancy than that. And I've often had this conversation with my brother about, because you can hear professional albums that sound how does this get past quality control, because it's awful. The worst one I heard was Operation Mindcrime 2. What a god awful production that was. And you think, I can get better stuff than that in my spare room, so why is that? And I think it's a lot of someone or some people have got to have a vision of how it's going to sound. It's also people have got to have the time, and I think it's a labour of love. You've got time to spend on it, and know what the end product is.
But there's no excuse for like Iron Maiden having bad production, other than you've got Steve Harris mucking about at the mixing desk. Because they went through a period of having really bad production.
They still are. I think the production on Book of Souls is terrible.
You know what? I kind of drifted off. I couldn't really comment on the Book of Souls because I just drifted away from Iron Maiden so much. I don't think I've even. I may have heard it. Not sure.
When you hear the live versions of some of the songs off Book of Souls, they sound miles better. Because I think all they do is they get together and they just and play it all live.
But it's like, but you know, and the answer to that would be the wrong people have got too much power
Mm.
to say, no, I want this turning up or whatever, you know, and then this guy whose job is to be like a professional engineer, you know, mixing engineer, just goes, well, okay then, if that's what you want, but you know, in his head he's thinking, I wouldn't do that.
The problem I've got with that Iron Maiden's production of recent years is they've got 3 guitar players, yet they are so, from a guitar point of view, it sounds so weak, and I think they should be massive. It doesn't have to be super heavy, like they just need to be clean and crisp and really well mixed together, and I don't think it is.
And I'm not trying to pick on Iron Maiden, there's lots of bands out there,
but as an Iron Maiden, with the amount of money they've got and time and people who get them a good production, it should be better than it should be better than that. Yeah.
Nevermore did a cool thing, didn't they? They put out
Enemies of Reality,
and the mix was terrible.
Yeah.
And then they re-released it because they went, yeah, you're right, this is terrible, and they re-released the album, remixed.
They got Andy Sneap to redo it, and it sounded miles better.
Yeah, much better. Yeah. So I've forgotten where we were going with this, but why how do people stuff up production? I think if you're a professional band and you can afford a professional sound engineer, then it can only be the band's vision that's wrong. That they're making their professional sound engineer make it sound this way, you know, because you don't get to be a professional sound engineer by accident. You've got to put in you've probably been and studied it, and you've presumably, if you're working with a big famous band, you've got lots of experience. So it can only be, I think, the band themselves just saying, no, I want my bass guitar front and centre in the mix, or the singer wants himself turning up right up in the mix.
I don't think it's anything to do with levels. I think it's the actual sound. I think there's too many yes men in the Iron Maiden camp, and
I wasn't trying to pick on Iron Maiden. I was just, they're such a big band and have such terrible production.
And Metallica are also guilty of it as well.
Lars Ulrich's drum sound,
and I think
just drives me mad.
It's when he got so much power with people at the top. Too many yes men, and I think that it gets to a point of complacency. Instead of trying to improve what they're trying to do, they'll go, "Oh, that'll do." And certainly the Book of Souls, it felt like, "Oh, that'll do," because I remember hearing an interview with Blaze Bayley when he joined Iron Maiden. He said they joined him in the studio.
I know what you're going to say.
He said they ran through it twice without stopping. Then they said,
"Hit record."
Hit record. And I think that's not fair on your fans, really, is it? If you're going to put out an inferior product where you've not practiced it enough, and the production on the X Factor, well, those 2 Blaze albums, I think speaks for itself. Really.
Okay.
But for how did I take up producing? Just out of necessity, because it comes out of having an idea or a vision of what you want to produce, and no one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah. And then being able to stand back a bit and say, is this thing I produced any good? And being able to say, well, that bit could be better, because you know, it's very hard to critique your own stuff.
It is, but you know what it's like though with having been involved with it. I would create a song a certain way, and I'd send it over to you, and you go, yeah, like that bit, and then you'd get another one next day saying I've remixed it, and then you'd have what's that, Christiana version 20 or something like that. I think we did get up to about that. All the slightly different mixes, because I wasn't happy. It's like having that vision thing. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. Keep sending it to you to give me feedback until you think you've got it right.
I was happy with version 10, but apparently we had to go to...
Because do we get to a certain point, I thought this is not working, and then it completely...
That song turned from one song, though, during that process, into a different song, didn't it? I mean, if you took version 1 and version 20, they're not the same song anymore. It changed so much over that time. And you're taking the Iron Maiden, Blaze Bayley days example. They didn't give that, whatever it was they were doing at the time to mature into what it could have been, could they? If you just go, oh, that'll do, record, you're missing something because it's a creative process, and the chances of you getting it right the first time you write it down, or the first time the first time you get that collection of riffs together, the chances of it being perfect are next to zero, aren't they? And you have to have that internal quality control that says, yeah, it's not what it's not right. I don't, or that bit's too slow, or that bit's too dominant, or whatever, or that rhyme's just shit.
especially on mixing. Mixing is what a pain.
It's a black art, though, isn't it?
It is, because like 10 versions of all the same song, and you might end up going back and tweaking, say, the guitars down by two little things. Does it make a difference? I don't know. It is a time-consuming thing, and I do a mix, put it on, listen to it when I'm walking the dog, or do it in the car, listen on different stereos and stuff like that. And what I did with this one, there was the song "Children of the Myths." I thought, oh, that's pretty close, so I worked on that one till I got it something close to what I thought was pretty good, and then just tried to replicate that over the other nine tracks. At least it gave me a starting point there, but it still takes hours of
and then at some point you have to just say, it's done, stop touching it.
I saw a good quote the other day. It says, a mix is never finished, it's only surrendered.
Which is the same with writing, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're writing your book, you could always go back and change a word, or even a paragraph, or what somebody says, or what a character says, and whatever. But at some point you have to just go, it's done. Stephen King said he knows he's up to that point when just looking at the manuscript makes him feel sick.
Oh, when you get bored and
because he's got to the point where I just can't.
Yeah.
It's making me feel ill just thinking about doing this, and that was the point when it was done.
Appreciate that.
And it's the same. I guess any creative process. I guess a painter can always add another brushstroke, and at some point you have to go.
I'm done. I'm ready to move on.
Step away from the thing. Yeah.
But moving over to say digital setup I absolutely love it, because it gives me more creative
freedom and a safety net. You don't accidentally dump. Well, you still accidentally dump stuff, but it's easy to keep stuff in a way that you can retrieve it. Whereas when it was all tapes and stuff, it's like, where was that?
In fact, the one of the early what's the long one we did with Katie singing in
The Healer.
In part two, is it?
The Healer.
Yeah, because it sort of stopped after about.
Oh yeah, that
7 minutes,
was different.
Yeah.
It
was two different songs basically, and that was just a case of, oh, shall I try this, and then just copied a whole section of a song and just stuck it on the end of it.
Christiana, which we mentioned earlier, that was another one where it was one song, and then we took another song, and I think we welded them together and ended up with a third song that was better.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember exactly because it's a few years ago now, but I just remember that one going through the ringer a few times.
But if it's still on tapes, I probably wouldn't have come up with those.
Yeah, because it's too hard to retrieve, or with digital you just go, what was that? Click. It
becomes so easy to just copy and paste it, just to try the idea. If it doesn't work, just
take it out again.
Just undo it. And that is one of the reasons why I get annoyed at bands taking 4 or 5 years to come up with an album, because it is so easy to come up with ideas.
Yeah.
And I think, well, let's try that and cut and paste, and because I would say not a lot of music is done like in this digital age. You can just write.
You don't go in a studio as a band and all go 3, 2, 1, go. It doesn't happen anymore.
Remember when Metallica for the Black Album, the behind the scenes video, it's really interesting how they put it together, and then they had Lars saying going through his drum patterns, and I like this one, I like that one. You think, God, that's a bit nerdy. That is, what's drum patterns over beats and stuff like that, and when you start having a go at yourself in this new digital age, you realise, that's what you do. You look at, because because you can cut that little bit out, put it in, and it'll still all make sense.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. We're nearly.
I hope that answered you.
We're getting to the end. Yeah, probably answered more questions than he asked. How early did you start learning to play guitar? Because by now you should be a lot better than you are. No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He says, how early did you start playing the guitar? Because he thinks you're really accomplished.
14, I think.
And how famous are you?
Not very famous. I think I started playing 14, and it was an obsession at first. Practice, get home from school, and then just practice for the rest of the night, making a lot of noise. And I know my parents.
Did you play it till your fingers bled?
No, they got quite sore though. I would say I'm probably getting worse now because I don't play enough. I do other things now. But I think when I hit Castle Metal in start of the 2010s, I was playing a hell of a lot. It was sort of the Bleak Exist, and then a few years after that, I thought I was doing quite well there. But I don't practice enough. So to get up to that standard, I'd have to practice for 6 months, I think, to get back to that level.
It's like when we were watching a video of a Legion.
Yeah.
Those people must play 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
To be that crisp and that. I mean, obviously, the video you get to do it again if you muck it up, but just to be able to do that at all, you've got to put the work in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you.
I've never got as good as the people in a Legion or stuff like that. And I'd love to reach that level, but I haven't got the time to put in it these days, unfortunately.
No.
And interestingly enough, the Jeff Waters, the guitar player from Annihilator, I listened to one of his interviews. I think the year he got divorced, he said he didn't touch the guitar for 12 months, and it took him 12 months to get back to
where he was.
To where he was, yeah. And it just says, I don't, even though I'm working on another album at the moment, I'm not playing it every night because I've got other responsibilities. I've got to write my new book as well.
And then I drag him in here.
Yeah.
Just the shuttle from Earth takes ages.
I'm not playing it as much as I would, but I think when it comes down to all the demos I've done for the new one, I'd have to redo my bits again, which means I'd have to put some effort in to play the riffs as crisp as possible.
Yeah. Well, bands when they go on tour have to go and rehearse first, don't they? Because you've done the album, but it was, you might have played that song 8 months earlier and then never touched it again. So they have to kind of learn their own songs. If we were to go back and do Castle Metal, one of those Stronghold songs, I'd certainly have to learn it all over again. I'd remember it, but I'd have to go and learn it all. Yeah. And it's the same thing, isn't it? But if you don't practice anything, you get rusty. I run. If I don't run for a couple of weeks, I can tell, because everything it's amazing how quick you lose that muscle memory and all of that sort of thing. So I think we're there. Is there anything you want to add? Buy the album.
Yeah, buy the first one as well. I really love.
They're both at that same link.
Yes. Yeah. I will go on record now of saying that the song Conundrum from the Conundrum Suite album, the first one, I have yet to. That's my favourite song that I've done.
Really?
And I've yet to better it. I've written some stuff that's I feel in the same ballpark as it, but nothing that's surpassed it yet. So I'm really pleased with it. So I get, even if no one buys any of these album things, I get so much out of it. I think that's the most important thing, really. And
then I'm assuming, tongue in cheek, there's not enough keyboards on it.
There's keyboards in the new one. Yeah, some piano in the new one. Not much, but I get in there because I got a piano now, so I'm going to try and do a bit of piano bits.
Yeah, because you play the piano.
Yeah.
Probably not as well as you play the guitar, but you play the piano. You just don't really like playing the piano, do you?
Really, no.
Yeah.
So. Just see that question from Charles about what he tells us about singer Rafa Gazal.
Did I miss one?
I forgot to mention he's a singer from a band called Bullet to Back as well. down in Brazil. So that's got one album out. It's pretty good. And he's also, I think, he's a guitar player for a Iron Maiden tribute band as well.
Right.
They're really good. They just done a gig with Blaze Bayley when he was down there.
Oh, cool.
Can't remember what they're called though, but it's just put Brazilian Iron Maiden tribute.
We'll just put in
band.
the name Raphael Gazan.
Yeah,
probably,
you can
probably pick it
super
up.
easy to work with, and also shout out to the drummer as well, because he took a long time to find, because you know what, metal, you have to be a certain level to play some of the stuff that I want to write, and he's one of the few that could actually play it, and he's so keen, loves it.
Where's he from?
It's Greece.
Yeah.
I'll
So-
go by email.
Okay.
I hope that. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Seems a bit weird me going, oh, thanks for telling me all that stuff.
Where can I get the lyrics? I can email them to you if you want.
Can you not just stick them on the Bandcamp? Is there not a place to put
I
those
could,
sorts
I
of
could
things
do.
on?
Yeah, I suppose I could do.
Charles, for you, I'll give Paz your email address, and he can just he can literally email you the lyrics if you like. But yeah, okay. If I have no idea how long we've been talking. I think it's tomorrow now. But if you've got any more questions, anybody, about any aspect of this, obviously just stick a comment in, and I'm sure Paz will give you a much shorter answer than he would if he was talking.
Well, I never get to talk to you about any of this stuff, so
No,
it's been quite refreshing for me.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
You just end up doing what I do. So.
When I got interviewed by Junichi in Japan, it was so weird that all this stuff was just coming out, and it ended up with like 2 hours of video, because it's amazing when you think, no, I don't like to talk about myself, and then but what you're talking about is not yourself. You're talking about something that you love, and it just and you obviously you've got to still have enthusiasm for it, and that's what comes out, isn't it? So anyway, everybody now go and buy the album. It's a massive just plug, but I think that's one of the things that brings people back to this channel. Obviously we're not massive, but we've both played, we've both written songs, we've both played live, we've both done the music thing, and obviously love it, and have listened to decades of music of all the different metal genres. So I would not in any way, shape or form consider myself an expert, and because when do you ever consider yourself an expert? But at least we have an idea of what we're listening to, and what works and what doesn't, which is why I try not to say it's a reaction channel, because we're not just going ooh.
I think you still got to keep learning.
Yeah, because it's evolving all the time anyway.
Yeah, which is why I say I could still stick with my Sonar 8 and Guitar Rig 4, but that's not me evolving or learning anything new. Which is, so you've got to keep going.
It's going to all sound the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you made it this far, congratulations. Links below, of course, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
See you now.